Hey everybody, it's Asic Eric. I'm by myself right now. I'm going to start working on the wiring harness for the transmission here. Let me show you what goodies I got here. Alright, this is the reverse lockout control box. So this basically hooks into the vehicle speed sensor, and when your speed is above a certain level, it engages or disengages the solenoid on the T56. So I think the way the T56 works by default, there's a heavy spring between fifth and reverse. So if you don't hook anything up, you can shift into reverse, but it's really hard. This guy, if you're below a certain speed, it engages the solenoid, which disengages the spring, which makes it easier to get into reverse, I think. I got this guy. I need to hook that dude up. Here's the instructions for that. This can be had. This one's from American Powertrain, I think. They sell it on Jegs as well. This one was like 130 bucks. The Jegs version's like 100 bucks. It's the same thing. It comes with the same instructions and everything. So it's a generic thing. It's not made by American Powertrain or Jegs or anybody else. I got your generic heat shrink connectors, butt connectors. I got myself a set of crimpers for those. I had bought a bunch of connectors before of the non-insulated type, and I was just going to put heat shrink on them. But these guys here, I had to get special. So these are three-way butt connectors. So you can put one wire in here and two wires in over here. And since I need to splice into the VSS sensor, I needed something like this. I got these off of McMaster Car. This was like 10 bucks plus shipping is like 16. These things are a little hard to find, so you got to dig around for them. They're different from normal butt connectors because they have a ton of extra adhesive and sealant inside here. They say, I think most people say 4X. So when you put two wires in there, it'll actually seal up around the wiring. Anyway, because of those, I needed to get these. That's it. I bought this before. This is just your standard GM style connectors here, the GT150 line. You can see. So we'll use a couple of these so that we'll be able to disconnect all this stuff. But first order of business is this: determining which wire is the VSS signal wire. So I got to do that first. So this involves trying to measure resistance to ground, I think, of the wiring harness. So I got to read up on this, get my voltmeter out, and figure this out. All right, that started off right away by not helping. So this says the reference wire will have less than 200 ohm resistance to ground, and the signal wire will have much higher. Here's the harness wire here. If I measure either of them to ground, I get 7 mega ohms. So the output of the VSS is a sine wave, just an AC sine wave, so it doesn't really matter what you connect it to. So in theory, you don't have to have a ground wire or a signal, a low reference. This thing is labeled, the harness is labeled low and high, which just implies an AC instead of having an actual ground. So I'm going to hook it up, assuming I got to look at my wiring diagram again, see which is which. I think the green is the ground, or low. But let me look at the wiring diagram and look at that. And I'm going to hook it up assuming that low is going to be the reference side. I don't think it matters, but I'm going to have to get in touch with these people before I fire this up and make sure that that's right. Alright, so this is what I had sketched out here. So the wiring harness here coming from the car, I've got green and purple, green, black, purple, white. And I've got that running to the blue and yellow on the reverse lockout box. So I'm gonna do it that way. And like I said, if it's wrong, we'll figure it out. So the LS3 wiring harness came with this little pigtail adapter. That goes into the T56. That's the wiring harness side. So I'm just going to splice into this guy right here. So this guy works, but these teeth in there are kind of aggressive and actually cut into the insulation of this thing. So I'm going to have to wrap that when I'm done. So we got the single wire going into the red side and then the blue side of the connector. You see it's got red and blue. So I twisted these wires together. So purple to yellow, green to blue, like so, and then these go in the blue side of the connector and then crimp those down. This is kind of hard to capture here, but I'll try. So that wire didn't really want to seat up in there all the way. We'll give it a go. Nice if I could release these things without having to squeeze it anymore, but alright, so you see we got the purple wire going to the purple wire and then splitting off to the yellow wire, and yanking on it. It seems pretty solid. I'll do the same thing on the other one. It's probably not ideal. I think that first crimp was a little too far over, so the wire's sticking out a little bit in there, but I'm going to hit it with the heat shrink gun, see what it looks like. Alright, set this thing to medium heat here. Never used this gun before, so I'm not really sure what to expect. Super hot there. Turn up the temp a little bit. Try that again. Now it's starting to go. Turn that up a little more. That doesn't seem to be doing the trick. Yeah, it was actually working. They don't shrink down as much as you would think. If I can get you a shot of that. If you can see the... Come on, focus. You can see the glue sticking out the ends of the wires there. They look pretty well sealed. Alright, I'll let that cool off. That seems to have done the trick. Alright, next item on the agenda is the reverse lockout solenoid pigtail. Alright, so if you guys don't have one of these kind of wire strippers, you need to get one. So just feed that through where you want it to go. About there. Squeeze. Stripped wire. Perfect every time. So I'm cutting all of these to the same length. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put the other end of this connector yet, but I'll lay it up against the transmission and figure out where I want to put the connector on the other end. So now I'm just splicing wires here. Alright, got those two guys done. Get the heat gun out again. Without burning my fingers. Okay. That seems pretty good. Again, these insulated connectors have the adhesive sealant on the inside, so when you heat them up like that, you'll see a little bit of glue ooze out the ends there again. I don't know if you can see that. Because it won't focus. Oh, it's hot too. Yeah, maybe you can see that, maybe you can't, but. All right, so that guy's done. Give it a good tug. Doesn't come apart. All right, so my thought process was these two guys, these two harnesses I just created, are part of the reverse lockout box. I'm going to put a 4-pin plug on here, but first I'm going to take a look at the transmission and see how long I want to make it. All right, so you can see how this goes together here. This goes into the speed sensor there. This will go off to the original harness. Here's the solenoid pigtail here. So all 4 of these wires are run up to there. That link's not bad where it is. Let's see here. Do I want to run that around the back like that? I think I might do that and trim those. Choices. Pull this around the other side of the transmission. We can split this off right here on 2 separate connectors. I think either way will be fine, so I'll figure out where I want to cut this and trim it back. Alright, I will try to see if I can bring you along for this ride here. So this is 18 gauge wire, so I have the 18 gauge male connector. So I want to stick it just there so the insulation's down in the, sorry. This is not easy to do. So we want the insulation wrapped at the bottom part there and the conductor to be trapped in the upper part. Try and hold that with one hand. Now I have a different pair of crimpers here for this type, so we are in the 20 through 18, and you can see how it has the bottom edge there. It has a little mustachio looking thing in it. That's what we want to use to crimp over. Get it lined up right, like so. That thing gonna focus? Focus! Don't want to focus. All right, let's try it. Give it a good squeeze, and it should look like. Ah, this thing is not focusing well at all today. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah. Okay, and then for the big one, in this case, I went with the 16 through 14 one. Since it's the insulated part, it's a little bigger, obviously. So same trick. Get that. Squeeze-a-roo. And there we go. All right, do a few more of those. All right, my wiring diagram has green, pink, yellow, blue is the order that I've got. Doesn't really matter what I do here, but so here's the male connector. I don't know what constitutes pin 1 on these things. It has a D through an A on it, so I can go with that, I guess. Let me look at this for a minute, make sure I don't screw this up. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward, actually. Green, pink. Make sure all these wires are not tangled up when I do this. Just get out of the way for the moment. Alright, so this only really goes in one way here. Can't really screw it up. Let's see, it wants to come in the bottom there. Snaps in. There you go. Okay, next on the agenda, green, blue, yellow. Same dealio. Yellow and blue. And there we go. Oh man, my hands are so shaky. All right, so theoretically that would be, is See right there's the A on there. I don't know if you probably can't see that. So I'm going to call that pin 1. Whether it is or not doesn't really matter as long as I do it the same way on both connectors. So those guys now clickety clickety, and you have a connector. All right, I don't have to do the other side of this right now. It's not, actually I kind of do, I guess, but I don't know how long to make that wire either. Yeah, that's a good question. Let me think about that. So the other end of that is going to go to this guy, and those colors are supposed to match up to the colors in this dude. Those are pretty long. There's really long cables on here. So they probably don't need to be that long. I think I might defer on this one until I figure out where I want to put this box before I put the other end of that connector on. Yeah, let me make, so that's good. So now the other pigtail is for the backup lights. So let me, actually no, let's finish this one up. I have the, hang on, let me show you here. Power braid. So I got these little fancy things too to try out. So yeah, fish the line, the hose over this thing, and then it just slides naturally right down on your line there. And just pull it like that. Wow, that works really well. All right, same thing. Let me figure out how long I need this to be, and I'll cut it. All right, so I ran that to there. I just cut that with the dikes there. I don't know if that was a good choice, but so this guy just pops off. Feed that up in there, like so. There you go. I'll run some electrical tape, wiring harness tape. Not sure what this stuff is. I bought it. It says highest quality tape used by VW, Audi, and BMW. So we'll use that. All right, and then from the other side, where it splits off here, we'll run separate things like that for that. Oh, and on these guys where I said it got cut by the crimper, it actually sealed all back up. Pretty interesting. There's no cut in there anymore. Or maybe there never was, but I don't see anything now, so looks good. All right, final result. I got this guy. That tape works really well. It's a cloth type tape, not just a plastic tape. So that guy runs along. We got a split right here. Maybe it's not the best sticking tape in the world. I'm gonna do a better job there. Run something through there to seal that down. That runs to this guy on this end. This one's a bit of a pig's ear, but it's a pigtail, so why not? Oh! All right, so that guy's done. Let's put him on the transmission, see how it looks. All right, so here's the original connector, that jumper. This goes off to the factory wiring harness here for the LS. And then here's the new one that runs off. Then you got your reverse lockout over there. And all that runs off to a connector like that. Looks good to me. Oh, stay out of the transmission fluid. Yuck, I got that drip pan out of there. All right, there is the backup lights. I just extended that guy to another 2-pin connector there. Okay, that's it for the transmission wiring. The only thing left to do is the other side, where those connect into the car. Like I said, I'm going to wait on those for a little while anyway. It would be nice if I didn't have to connect it to that module, because then I could just run some loose wires up into the car, but I need to know where these are going to connect to, so I can't really do that. I could make a dummy connector for this side, but actually the other end of this is going to connect to the factory, the painless harness. So anyway, I think that's going to do it. Let me wrap it up here. There you go. So that's the backup light connector there. That guy, here's the other harness that we made there. So good. That came out real nice. Pretty happy with that. I gotta get all this stuff wire tied up. As I said, it's all way too long, but that'll be okay. If any of you guys know about this vehicle speed sensor thing, and what I ran into on the LS3, that would be great. Otherwise, it's Friday, so I can't call these guys till Monday. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, that'd be great. Let me know. And there's a little thing here. Let's see. Hang on a second. No, that's just about the ground wire. So that's not real helpful. It does say you can email these guys, although I don't see an email address on here anywhere. So see if I can find an email address and send these guys an email. All right, that's going to do it. So Pops will be here tomorrow, and the plan was to connect all this stuff to the car, get this thing bolted back under the car. If I have to come and change this later, I can always get in there and take that pigtail out and redo it, but hopefully I won't have to. So yeah, that's going to do it for today. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for the putting of the car back together.